Welcome to tonight's city council meeting. Thank you guys for all being here. We're going to start with the pledges, and with that, I'll call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please be seated. Okay, remember this is a regular city council meeting. Rules of decorum are in effect. Please remain silent in the audience during the meeting. City Secretary, we have a quorum with all council members here present today. Proof of notice of meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. Notice of this meeting was posted on the 20th day of March, 2025.
Great, thank you. Okay, do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
Okay. All right, so that will move us into public hearings. If you're here to speak on a public hearing, when you come up to the podium, be sure to state your name, your ward. You'll have 3 minutes to speak and council cannot respond to you. So we're going to begin public hearings at 5:31 p.m. City Secretary. First public hearing to obtain citizen views and comments regarding special use permit 2025-04-01, a special use permit allowing the applicant Holland for Yucca LLC to obtain the following licenses permits from the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. 1, late hour certificate to allow open hours until 2 a.m. 2, mixed beverage permit to allow liquor sales and food and beverage certificate. The subject property is located at 209 West Holland Avenue. The property owner of record is Holland Investors LLC. The parcel ID of the subject property is 11836. The current zoning classification of the subject property is C2 Business District and will remain the same if the application is approved. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Okay, please come up. Okay, just state your name, ward, 3 minutes, council can't respond.
Sure. My name is Rachel Ziegler. I actually don't know what ward, but I am speaking on behalf of the Holland Hotel. I'm a part of the management company, Alexa Management, that owns and operates the Holland Hotel, Maverick Inn, and Olympia in Fort Davis. The purpose for the permit, as I heard speaking earlier, just for some clarification, we are just looking to obtain a new TABC license, just for the simple fact of activating our lobby bar, not the Sentry. So we will not open that part of the building up. It's just the lobby bar located in the lobby for hotel guests when there's Viva Big Bend, certain situations like that. We do not intend to stay open until 2 a.m. unless there is a certain special circumstance, a wedding, some type of event. So other than that, it would essentially be business as usual. We will have food available as well, but we will, to honor the guests inside the hotel, ideally close around 10 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on behalf of this? Okay, moving on to the next public hearing to obtain citizen views and comments regarding the issuance of an animal permit 2025-04-01, a permit allowing the housing of 2 horses to be located at 1902 West Avenue E. Horses are owned by Robert Gates. Okay, is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this? Okay, please come forward, state your name and ward. 3 minutes, council can't respond.
Yes, I'm needing to move from where I've been, and I had visited with the animal control about 6 weeks ago. And found out 2 weeks ago I needed a pen, which I built and completed. And my horses are in panels. I cannot move them till I get the okay. And I need to move. I need to move as soon as possible. And I'm 70 years old. I haven't been able to work for 4.5 years due to side effects from cancer treatment. I'm a patient at MD Anderson. And proof is in the wristband. And just asking for y'all's help. And I've got some college boys lined up to help me move, but just waiting on y'all.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and thank you all. The only face I know is Lucy from the hospital. So she can vouch for me.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
What ward is this? What ward?
It's two.
Two, okay. All right, so moving on to public presentations, there are none. Proclamations, we have 3 of them this evening. We have Public Safety Telecommunicators, National Animal Care and Control, and International Dark Sky. All right, so let's start with the first.
Decided to bring out my new hires,
Alright.
Yana Graham and Laurice Gretchen. They're our new hires since.
You're gonna be in the spotlight, guys.
Yes.
All right, so whereas emergencies that require police, fire, or emergency medical services can occur at any time that require police, fire, or medical emergency services. And whereas an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who contact the City of Alpine Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activity by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the City of Alpine have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during their performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, I, Catherine Eves, Mayor of the City of Alpine, Texas, on behalf of the community, do hereby recognize April 13th, 2025 to April 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Alpine, Texas, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our citizens and our city safe. I have hereunto set my hand this first day of April in the year 2025. Thank you so much. And
Let's hold it up so we can take a picture.
okay, I need animal care and control officers to come forward, please.
Jennifer Stewart and Samantha Johnson.
All right, whereas the National Animal Control Association has designated the second week of April each year as Animal Care and Control Officer Appreciation Week. And whereas the various federal, state, and local government officials throughout the country take this time to recognize, thank, and commend all animal control officers and animal control staff for their dedicated service they provide to the citizens, various public safety, public service agencies, and departments across the country. And whereas every day animal control officers put themselves in potentially dangerous situations to protect the health and welfare of all kinds of animals and the public. And whereas the City of Alpine would like to express its sincere thanks and appreciation for the outstanding service the Alpine Animal Control officers and staff provide on a daily basis to the citizens of the city and to the various public safety, public service agencies and departments. And whereas the City of Alpine recognizes and commends Jennifer Stewart, Supervisor, Samantha Johnson, and Adrian Quintella, Animal Control Officers, and Yuritsa Garcia and Asia Weiser, animal shelter staff, for the many dedicated and long hours in serving this community and for fulfilling the animal control officer's commitment to providing the highest and most efficient level of customer service. And whereas the city of Alpine recognizes the animal control officers who answer calls for assistance, capturing roaming and potentially dangerous animals, rescue animals in distress, investigate reports of animal cruelty and neglect, provide education for pet guardians about responsible pet care, and mediate disputes between neighbors regarding conflicts involving animals. Now therefore, I, Catherine Eames, Mayor of the City of Alpine, Texas, on behalf of the community, do hereby recognize April 13th, 2025 to April 19th, 2025 as National Animal Care and Control Officer Appreciation Week in the city of Alpine, Texas, and I encourage all citizens to join me in expressing their sincere appreciation for the service and dedication of our animal control officers and staff. I have hereunto set my hand on this first day of April in the year 2025.
Please.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Okay, come on up. So glad you're here, guys. Good to see you. Okay, so whereas the aesthetic beauty and wonder of a natural night sky is a shared heritage of all humankind, and whereas the experience of standing beneath a starry night sky inspires feelings of wonder and awe and encourages a growing interest in science and nature, especially among young people and visitors. And whereas light pollution has scientifically established economic and environmental consequences, which result in significant impacts to the ecology and health of all communities. And whereas 80% of the world's population and 98% of Texas population lives under a dome of light pollution, excessive artificial lighting at night that disrupts natural darkness and may never experience the visual wonder and ecological and health benefits of living under a dark sky. And whereas light pollution represents a waste of natural resources amounting to roughly $3 billion per year of wasted energy in the United States and contributes to diminished energy security. And whereas the city of Alpine lies at the heart of the Big Bend region of Texas, one of the darkest areas remaining in North America, and is part of the greater Big Bend International Dark Sky Reserve, the largest area in the world certified by the International Dark Sky Association. And whereas astronomical research at the McDonald Observatory and other facilities in the Big Bend region depend upon access to dark night skies to be successful. And whereas the Big Bend region is home to dozens of nocturnal wildlife species and is visited by hundreds of migratory bird species which rely on undisturbed night environments to hunt, mate, navigate, and thrive. Whereas the International Dark Sky Association is the globally recognized authority on light pollution, promotes International Dark Sky Week to raise awareness of light pollution and provide free education, research, resources, and solutions to the public to encourage the protection and enjoyment of dark skies and responsible outdoor lighting. Now therefore, I, Catherine Eames, Mayor of the City of Alpine, Texas, on behalf of the community, do hereby recognize April 21st, 2025 to April 28th, 2025 as International Dark Sky Week in the city of Alpine, Texas. And I ask each resident to join me not only in observing and pondering upon this important week, but also in raising awareness and support for protecting our precious dark sky resources and helping Alpine be the leader in dark sky awareness for the region. I have hereunto set my hand this first day of April 2025. Appreciate it. Okay, thank y'all. Very important proclamations. All right, so we're moving on to community interest items. City Secretary, 1 minute on the clock for each. So 1 minute for me. Mayor announcements, April 3rd through the 13th, there's Next to Normal, which is a spring theater production at Sul Ross State University. We'll be playing, or performed, I should say. April 18th through 20th is the annual Gem and Mineral Show here at the Civic Center. And then April 25th through 26th is Spirits of the West here in town. Okay. All right, 1 minute on the clock for the city manager, city secretary.
So that weekend of the Gym and Mineral Show, that Saturday is also our Easter egg hunt for the residents here in town. So please go out to Coconut Park and enjoy.
Is the city putting that on or is it the Kiwanis? Good. All right, excellent. All right, and 1 minute for each council member, starting with Councilmember Stevens.
Thank you. Just two items to talk about. For those of you who noticed, there's been a fair amount of water running down Avenue B. The leak was finally fixed today. I think a great effort by Johnny, who knows everything about
Bless you.
water.
Bless you.
But also the team at Sol Ross got it figured out. It turns out it's an 8-inch city line that used to feed Sol Ross. So they had a lot of work, a lot of digging to go sort through that, but they got it worked. And it's nice to stop the water leak because that is water loss, something that no one pays for. Second thing I want to just comment about the Sol Ross Alumni Hall of Honor that was held last Saturday. And just acknowledge that our Chief Lasoya's son was recognized as the 2025 Young Distinguished Graduate. So it was
Good,
really
yeah.
nice to see, and Chief accepting us out, because I didn't know what Glenn did, but he works for which basketball team? Chief?
Spurs.
The Spurs, yeah, thank you, yeah, so he was working.
Good
So
deal.
It was great to see, and I apologize,
Thank
Don
you.
couldn't make the, and I know you're gonna talk about it tonight, in terms of Dancing with the Stars in the Library, two great events that night.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Escobedo.
Actually, I just wanted, I know that, National Doctors Day was on Sunday, March the 30th. And I wanted to make sure that all the doctors here in this area got recognized.
Good, thank you. Appreciate that. Councilmember Nance. Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, I have two announcements. We're going to hear more about whoever comes from the Family Crisis Center. They're having a fundraiser. It's a poker tournament fundraiser for the Family Crisis Center. So if you know how to play, come and support the family. You don't know, they will teach you. So just come and support the Family Crisis Center. And you can find the Family Crisis or any board member, and it will be advertised where you can get the tickets to support, when play, have fun. It's a good cause to support the Family Crisis Center. And the other one, invite everybody for the inauguration of the park, for the city park, the Pueblo Nuevo Park. Everybody is welcome and invited to come that night.
Yes.
It will be the night, so it will be refreshments and ribbon cutting, and it will be a fun day. So we have something to celebrate. We're excited.
Good deal. Okay, Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to congratulate Don again. I had a really good time at the Dancing with the Stars, and congrats to Helen and Steve, of course, the #1 winners. And looking forward to hearing more about all the organizations. Thanks for everyone being here. Thanks, Mayor.
Great, thank you. All right, moving on to changes to posted agenda. Are there any items to be continued or withdrawn? Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion? Are there any action items to be added to the consent agenda? Are there any time-sensitive items? Okay, moving on. There are no time-sensitive items. Consent agenda, City Secretary.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's consent agenda contains two items. Item A, approval of the March 18th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. And item B, approval of the excused absence of Mayor Eves from the March 18th, 2025 regular council meeting.
I need a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I need a second.
Second.
Let's vote.
Aye.
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 City Secretary, the consent agenda was approved as written by all council members voting in favor. Okay, there were no items removed, reports and presentations. Okay, for each report, you will have 6 minutes on the clock. The first report is put on by the city manager.
It's an update from the Alpine Emergency Services Board, but I don't believe they're, I'm sorry. I was looking for Rusty.
Rusty is in Florida on a telecommunications convention. I'm Carla Spencer. I am the secretary for the Alpine Emergency Services Board. I was voted in January, so I'm relatively new to the board. And I'm relatively new to volunteer fire in general. And so, keep your questions simple. I would like to report that, James isn't here, none of his firefighters are here, so I don't think I'll step on anybody's toes. The fire department has been really hard at work on going and looking into grants and getting those grants. They have been approved for probably in the vicinity of $200,000 worth of grants in addition to the money that the city provides and the county provides. And so that money has gone towards new bunker gear. It has gone towards updating equipment. It has gone towards maintaining the vehicles. It has gone towards improving the training that our firefighters are getting. And that, I mean, it is just the morale of the firefighters has just gone through the roof. I mean, it's really, really cool to see. But they have been working really, really hard to supplement the money that you guys give to the city gives to the volunteer fire department with that grant money. We've got some new vehicles that have come in. We've got new radios that have come in. And some of the things that they have worked really hard to get refurbished or worked on, like for instance, the roll-up door in the fire department has not been inspected in years. It was not functioning properly. Well, it's been inspected and it's been fixed and it is working properly now. So just the tending to the day-to-day administrative duties of the fire department and making sure that our firefighters are prepared to fight fire. I think that James reported, I would have to look back at my notes. 8 firefighters attended the Mile High Academy in Fort Davis, which is a training that they have to go through to get certified as wildland firefighters. And so now we're up to 4 certified wildland firefighter personnel. No, 8, sorry, 8 certified wildland firefighters. Several of them have gone through their firefighter 1 academy and are working on going into firefighter 2. A lot of them have gone through their cadaver training. Some of them are really interested in EMS training, but they've completed their EMT training. Just lots of stuff going on. They've accomplished a lot of their wish list on new equipment or updated equipment, and then they're paying that forward. And so some of the things, our bunker gear was very outdated for our Alpine Fire Department firefighters. We got new bunker gear in, but the firefighters in Ojinaga do not have that available to them. And so they are in the process of trying to get the old Alpine volunteer fire equipment into the firefighters' hands of Ojinaga, because those firefighters they're in a worse situation than the Alpine was. And so it's really kind of neat to see that some of those things we're getting to better ourselves, but then we're also getting to sort of pay that forward in our own way. Let's see. you know what? Do you guys have any questions?
I wanted to point out, you do have a firefighter here this evening and he just received, what was it? You just received a certificate for firefighter 1 certification? Rob Ruckus. Yes, thank you. Okay, any questions? Question?
A couple questions real quick. One, I just wanted to say, awesome job of culture of learning, how everyone's progressing through 1 and 2. I think that's super important. The one question I had is $200,000, are those mostly state or federal grants? We know.
A lot of those are federal grants. And so as we changed into the new administration, some of those grants got a little bit harder to see our way on. And so that has kind of slowed down some. I believe, and you might, the new fire truck,
For our people,
was that was a state thing, wasn't it?
I think it was federal.
Was it?
So I know about that.
Oh, that's right.
I know about that because I went with James to go look at it.
Okay,
That's federally
That was
provided,
federal.
US Navy, the federal funds, it's administered through Texas A&M.
Gotcha.
And James signed the document on site and we're now waiting to get it shipped here. The good news about the ARF vehicle, it's got a water cannon on it. And they're gonna have to do a little bit of work on it, but it'll be terrific to get that on one. It has free.
Is that gonna hang around Alpine, you think, or more down south?
They'll be able to use it wherever they need to roll it. It will roll up to 70 miles an hour, self-contained.
Nice.
Be great for brush fires as well as, my big push was great for building fires. Would have been great to have last May.
Yeah.
Because it puts out a lot of water quickly.
Do you have the presentation tomorrow for the new baby? The new truck?
oh, is that on the agenda for tomorrow?
Yes, we're gonna be pushing it into the station hall.
There you go.
Yeah, good. Good.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stone.
Oh, are you good? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Awesome grants and heard, it's hard out there. Awesome on training equipment, awesome on cross partnership with the Ojinaga. That's very generous of y'all. That's super awesome. Carla, one thing I want you to take back that I've been saying for like a year, and I'm about to end this term in that, is that we really, I am hoping that we can test our fire hydrants around the town. My knowledge, it hasn't been done in years, I want to say nearly a decade. And according to regular, like you Google this and you look at our, what it says to do every single year, it says to test these fire hydrants every year. And I know it's bounced between the water department, the city, y'all, everybody. We got to just work together and get this done as quickly as we can.
So I have spoken with the interim utility director and James was supposed to reach out. He hasn't had the ability.
Yeah.
I know at the last meeting, James mentioned that they're testing them. But that conversation hasn't been relayed back to the water
Sure.
department. It's a communication thing that I know we can work out.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Carla.
everything that you do.
Have anything to add? I don't know. I'm not-
So you they have it that fire alarms program that they were changing in the houses, is still going on that?
It is, James, at our March meeting, James said that they were having a little trouble getting their shipment of alarms in. And so they were, as of March 6th, they were still waiting on their third shipment of alarms for installation. And so he kind of talked like maybe his rep had, maybe he'd had a little bit of a communication problem with his rep or something, and getting the alarms physically here so that they could continue with the install. Fire department absolutely have the intention of continuing that. They're just having a little trouble getting the actual alarms in their hands.
Well, I want to thank you. I get mine changed, so thank you.
Oh, awesome.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, next discussion item, city manager.
We have an update from the Family Crisis Center of the Big Bend and they do have a representative.
Good deal.
My name is Denise Holosawa, and I'm an advocate with the Family Crisis Center of the Big Bend. And I just wanted to give a little, just a little bit about us. The Family Crisis Center of the Big Bend provides long-term and emergency services of survivors to domestic violence,
sexual assault, dating violence, and violent crime. We service 5 counties: Brewster, Presidio, Jeff Davis, Terrell, and Pecos, with a staff of 12. All of our services are free and confidential. Our team has grown. We are now Family Crisis Center, the Big Bend, and with TRAX. In the month of December of 2024 to February 2025, the Family Crisis Center, the Big Bend, was able to make a positive impact on the community of Alpine, most notably in the number of clients served, outreach, emergency shelter, and financial assistance. We have 4 advocates in the Alpine office who were able to provide 4,014 services to 192 clients from December 2024 to February 2025. Of those 192 clients, there were 136 female, 56 male, and 0 non-confirmed gender. Our new legal aid advocates are Virginia Sandoval and Deborah Guerrero. They will be starting to assist clients with legal intakes from Texas Rio Grande legal aid known as TRALA to assist with protective orders and family law issues such as divorce and child support. FCCBB volunteers provided over 4,496 hours of service to assist the mission of FCCBB. Our outreach, we participated in or provided 51 outreach services, from presentations, training events, teacher in-service, office hours, and more, to Sul Ross State University, Alpine ISD, Sanderson ISD, and surrounding communities. We look forward to the month of April, as it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We have many activities planned with Sul Ross to bring awareness, educate on prevention, and support survivors. As you'll see here on the slide, this is Virginia. She's one of our advocates, and she is educating Sanderson students what healthy relationships should look like. In this next slide, you'll see myself and Virginia once again educating the importance of healthy relationship and respect to Alpine high school students. In this slide, you'll see kind of two of the activities that we have planned with Sul Ross for this month. One of them will be the safety walk at Sul Ross State University and a chalk walk, as well as many other activities that we have planned within this month. Our emergency shelter, the Family Crisis Center, the Big Bend, has 2 emergency shelters in Alpine and Presidio. During December 2024 to February 2025, shelter was provided to victims of domestic violence and/or sexual assault. Our emergency shelter was occupied with a total of 1 night during that period. Financial assistance. During December of 2024 to February 2025, Alpine clients received over $4,762.23 in financial assistance in the form of rent or rent deposits, utilities, transportation, childcare, relocation needs, food baskets, and gift cards. We do have our little pantry that provides food assistance to clients and local Alpine community. During the winter of 2024, we saw an increase in the number of clients that and the community members needing food, especially the older adults. In the last few months, we have noticed a decrease in the usage, which is attributed to the cold and more clients just requesting more food baskets. Our future building, FCCBB purchased the community center building located at 402 East Gallego Avenue to provide a new office buildings and shelter for Alpine locations. The increased size and layout will allow advocates to better support clients in their journeys, provide more modern shelter to assist more emergency clients, and as well sustain the community we serve. We're hoping to be in the new building by summer of 2025. And you'll see on this slide, just some of the construction. We actually do have sheetrock. It went up this week, so a big improvement. Here's a picture of the outside. If you pass by, you'll see that it does have a new fence all the way around. So we're really excited with the improvements that are being made to our new building. We look forward to that. Here you'll just see some of our contact information. We had advocates on call in rotation to accept 24/7. Walk-ins are accepted anytime Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And of course, here's just our contact information. And here is our tracks. We have 2 tracks offices in Marfa and Presidio. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support.
We really appreciate you. Stay for just a second. Does anybody have any questions?
One question, you
Okay, go ahead with the one.
One question I have is the new building y'all are moving into. Are there any other plans with that? Are y'all gonna house the staff there and everything else? Cause I know it's has like a big gym area and everything else.
Well, that's kind of been, it's not, some of it has been used for office space. So some of the other, well, it has room for advocates and then of course like our executive director and yeah, so majority of it, where what used to be like the gym area has been used for office space.
Just kind of wondering what was going on.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Councilmember Stowe?
Looks amazing. I rode by on my bicycle and I love the paint job, everything. It's really, really beautiful. And I just want to say congratulations and getting super close. I've seen it
Yes.
progress over this past year or two. I'll just say, you know, the public enemy number one in my book is domestic violence in this community. It's really sad, but that's really, when you look at the data and the numbers, that's where it is. So I really appreciate y'all doing the outreach that I see you've been doing. People got to know what's going on, and especially, you know, if as the economy is downturning some, the stats also say your services will be needed more. So it's great you're getting your name out there. One thing I just want to just turn your attention to, and I ask that you reach out to your elected officials. It's SB 1362, and it's already passed in the state Senate, and it's on its way to the House right now. It would prevent extreme risk protection orders in Texas for purchasing guns. And so that specifically, that's including perpetrators of domestic abuse. And it would make that illegal, and it would actually criminalize police for even trying to enforce something like that. And so if you need more info, I'd be happy to pass that along. But I know our state representatives are very against this, and they would love to hear from an organization like you too. And again, appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate
you.
it. Okay, and then our last discussion item for the evening, city manager.
Yes, we have an update from the Alpine Public Library and Dawn is here to provide that update. And tell us all about Dancing with the Stars.
A little bit, yeah. You had to be there if you wanted
I got to see the video.
Good job.
Good evening, I'm Don Wetterauer, Executive Director of the Alpine Public Library, here for my library update. Last time I was here, we talked about Pauline Hernandez's mural, and I see it's pretty much done. I don't know if she's all the way finished yet, and maybe some few things to do, and I think it's looking pretty good. So if you've gone by there, the lights are on at night, and so. The kids wing is very popular. Claudia Fuentes is our new youth services librarian, and she's doing a great job. She's introduced a new and different Spanish story time, and that, along with the toddler time, help children's motor skills and language development, and activities like finger plays, puppets, rhymes, songs, reading, help off that stuff. The programs are also a great time for kids and parents to interact and socialize in that room. Claudia is in touch with AISD and will continue with reading programs started by Mary Beth. She will also continue the popular dental program at the elementary schools. We've had requests for more programs for children and teens, and one of our goals with the library expansion was to increase library use by teens and young adults. We've distributed a survey to get to know their interests and needs, and so we're working on that. We do have a small group of teens that come to the library regularly to work on homework. Several of Claudia's ideas include movie nights, and she's thinking about a teen movie night and a family movie night. She's also got an idea to do an early evening teen dance. We'll see how that goes. We've been collaborating with the McDonald Observatory, and we plan to bring some more dark sky programs to the library. We already have a good crowd of young families and seniors that use services at the library, and we're working on how to get more information out and get other people in. We have a lot of resources to offer. We've got databases, and as an example, we had a library patron who was seeking care for a dog with cancer, a chronic cancer. And the vet suggested some options. One of the options was mushrooms, but he had no clue which mushrooms to get. So she came to the library, got some help with staff, guidance on research and instruction on how to use the databases. She found what kind of mushroom she needed to get, then she was able to order it and get that. So she was very happy. We are planning more adult classes. We have, I think we're gonna try to do 4 more first aid CPR starting in May, and it'll go through the summer, probably into the fall. GED classes are ongoing. We have 5 students now. We had 1 student come in today, and he's passed his 3rd test. He's got 1 more to go, and he's got his GED. And last month, we had another person get her GED. So we're planning a graduation in May, around the time the high school had graduation. We are also going to register some adult students from Presidio. They're going to take an online GED class through the Socorro ISD. They need to register in person and take the placement test in person, and Alpine is a lot closer than going to Socorro. So we're going to register them, and then they'll be working out of Presidio. As a reminder, we continue with ESL, we have citizenship classes, and we have Spanish classes. And actually, we've had an uptick in citizenship people. So we have Zumba 3 times a week and yoga twice a month. Dancing with the Big Ben Stars last Saturday night. We had a nice crowd of 85 people. The volunteers did a great job setting things up. It was nice. We had a good group of dancers. Emmy and Jenny Yaden were the runners-up. And Steve Stratikos and Helen Snook took first place. They did a tap dance.
Wow.
I would like to mention that volunteers did a really good job. Well, last year, we had 60 volunteers put in over 6,200 hours of time for the library. So we have a great group of people. They do a lot of programs. They work in the Readings bookstore. They do the silent auction. We're going to have a patio sale on the 19th of April, the same time that the Gem and Mineral Show is going on. We had a lot of people from there come over last year, so they're already asking about it. I submitted the paperwork with the Texas State Library and Archives Commission for our next accreditation period. And finally, I want to talk about library funding. We've been talking a little bit about grants. The Institute of Museum and Library Services is facing some serious federal cuts. They were established in Congress in 1996, and they give money to libraries and museums across the country. Alpine Public Library has benefited by receiving a couple of IMLS grants. And we also get grants from the state library, and a lot of the state library money comes through IMLS grants. So I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows exactly where this is going to play out. I read today that most of the staff was put on administrative leave, and they've put a hold on processing any grants for who knows when. So this could definitely affect not just Alpine, but all the libraries in the state. It kind of reminds me of 10 or 15 years ago, the state of Texas cut state libraries budget, and everybody that was a scramble to get things going there. As you know, APL is a nonprofit organization. In contrast, about 80% of the libraries in Texas are run by local governments. Or how much we needed funding from the city. And actually, that I mentioned, it was pretty critical. We get funding from the city and the county together, makes up 35% of our budget for the year. So everything else is grants, fundraising, sales, and donations. Uh, I guess, it's a good investment, the library, in Texas, on average. For every dollar you invest in the library, you get a $4.64 return. And I think we provide necessary services to the community. People come in to use the computers, people that don't have computers at home, people that don't know how to use a cell phone. And so many things now, you go online and you have to have a cell phone to get some information back, and they don't know how to do it. So we're getting more of that. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you so much. Our library is an amazing library. I'm a huge supporter of everything that you do. So many things. It's not like it was in the 60s and 70s where you just went and checked out a book. You provide so many services. The first aid CPR, I have a lot of people contacting me wanting to know if there's going to be a first aid CPR class anywhere in town. And it's good to know that that's coming and it'll be open to the public.
We've signed up for 4 of them.
Okay,
The first one I think is gonna be in May. I'm not getting in touch with the person that's gonna do it.
okay.
So keep a watch on the library website, and we'll put some information. It'll be on the radio or something. We're getting ready to have some.
Okay, great. And Facebook?
And Facebook, yeah, all that.
Right,
And these classes are limited to 10 people at a time.
right,
The way he works it is.
right. So there's definitely a desire in the community for that class. That's great. Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Stevens?
Don, as always, thanks for your leadership. You're making a huge difference over there.
Thank you.
Councilmember Escobedo?
You're doing a wonderful job. All the services are amazing. We are very grateful.
Right, yeah. There's many towns that don't even have libraries. So it's
Well,
amazing.
yeah.
All right, Councilmember Nance?
Question for you. You said 10 to 15 years ago, there was a cut from the state level. Who picked up that cost at that time for libraries?
Sorry?
You said 10 to 15 years ago,
Yeah.
there was a cut in state funding?
Yeah,
Who picked up-
state to the state library, the state that funds the state library, they cut
Okay.
funds to the state library.
Did that affect you guys through grants or anything with our loss of funding to you?
There was a lot of concern for a while, but we were able to get private grants and things, and now with the money from the IMLS, the state library has been able to give some other support. So we've got grants from IMLS and from the state library.
And then the other question that I had, this is kind of more for a Megan thing. I won't be on council the next time that money is distributed to the 3 nonprofits that get that money. But coming back to the idea of earmarking that or something, because I think it's the 20+ years, y'all had no inflationary raise or anything else like that. It was
Right.
what,
It was-
40,000?
It was the same amount that when I started there at 2008.
2008. I think maybe even before that, it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I was.
Talking to Chris. The only reason I say that is it would be nice if council could somehow earmark funds or something like that to protect you from the inflationary issues that you guys have, sales tax or something else. Or if we take, 1% of our sales tax, because our sales tax is growing every year. And month 1, we had a really good month 1 for January this year in sales tax. If we were taking a percent of that, then ultimately, if we're getting a 10% increase, then it's not going to be spectacular, but you won't have a 20-year issue of not receiving any funds over 40,000.
Yeah. Anything helps. Every little bit.
That was everything I had.
Councilmember Martinez?
Thank you for your wonderful job. They have so many services for the community and improving, so thank you. No questions.
Councilmember Stone?
Thank you, Counselor Nance, for those comments. I appreciate them. As the liaison, it's been an honor to get to go to as many of the board meetings that I can go to. And I was speaking with Kay at the board or at the Dancing with the Stars, and she's like, "We need you to stay on." And that'll be just something that I can decide. Maybe if y'all make them Zoom meetings, I can finally get to every single one. But I've really enjoyed it. And the only thing I'm going to ask you is just to continue being as invested as you have been this past year, coming and updating the council, and letting them know what you need. And I really appreciate all the work y'all are doing. So thank you.
Sure, thank you. So you're all welcome to come over, have them over there, take a tour and see what's going on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, for information and discussion items, Information item A belongs to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Information item A is to discuss the recommendations from the Parks and Recreation Board to approve a proposed ordinance amending chapter 74 Parks and Recreation, Article 2, Municipal Swimming Pool to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, amending rules and regulations to the city pool. As recommended, they have been going through the ordinances involving the parks. They've already updated one section of it. They're moving on to the next section. What you'll find in the packet is a summary of the recommendations, including just some clarifying of language, just to make it a little bit more simpler, updating some of the rules and ordinances to actually match what is going on presently. So for example, they have it where section 74-103, instead of it saying drinks, it says glass drinks are prohibited. So drinks have not been prohibited from the pool. People are allowed to bring in beverages. Sometimes we do have concessions and beverages for sale. They're just not allowed to have glass containers. So they wanted to update that to reflect more accurately. They also went in and updated that the admission to the municipal pool shall be set they remove this set by council by resolution annually in accordance with the Appendix C Parks and Recreation fees. It kind of was just double worded. They were cleaning up that language. The council does set the pool fees annually by resolution. They discuss each of the different items, what is allowed, what isn't allowed. They also went in and of course bathing caps, they did remove that. They updated the refuse disposal, no household waste. So it's not bringing your trash to the pool to dump. Jumping around a little bit here, they also updated the smoking section to include vaping, dipping, or other use of tobacco. So they wanted to add a little bit more to that, not just the smoking. And then they updated the accompaniment of small children. All children under the age of 13 years of age must be accompanied by a parent or a reasonable adult person who is 18 years of age or older. So it is hard. We do hire lifeguards that are typically of high school age, and it's really hard for them. They're not designed to be babysitters. So we wanted to update that a little bit to allow for them to be paying more attention to those in the pool, not the little kids running around. Right. So that was important to them. They did make these recommendations. I'm excited that they're continuing to move through all of their ordinances to update.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I looked through this. I think the changes needed to be made. Prior to that, it was six years of age. Were allowed to be dumped off by the parents or guardians. All right, so Councilmember Martinez.
Do we need to go for these changes or just in the future?
Yeah, this is just discussions. This will actually be on the agenda at the next council meeting for approval of the first reading.
Yeah, it is more understanding that changes that they are pointing to make. So I think that they're good ideas there.
Councilmember Escobedo.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, the lifeguards aren't there to be babysitters.
Mhm. And we don't want glass in the pool either. No. Councilmember Stevens,
Looks good to me.
Councilmember Stone.
It all looks good. I just have one question and perhaps give some thought to it or ask and figure out the answer for next time is how will the age be enforced? Because typically 13-year-olds aren't carrying IDs, 12-year-olds aren't either, and I'm just wondering.
So
how
we
that-
kind of barely talked on that. We did consider, I mean, obviously you're gonna be able to tell when they're younger, obviously by height.
Yeah.
But having that conversation when they come into pay, having the conversation if they have a high school, or not high school, but a school ID. Obviously, they're not gonna be able to say, no, you can't come in because, if we can't
You're
confirm the
short.
ID.
Yeah.
But a lot
I
of
was just a
times,
kid.
and this is the benefit of living in a small town, a lot of times those kids
Sure.
already.
Yeah.
So
I
no,
also
we're gonna
don't
call
want-
the cops on them
Yeah.
and say you can't come
I'm
in.
not saying that we're gonna call any cops or anything. I just don't want short kids or bullying to be allowed, because obviously, I'm sure all the lifeguards are great. But at the same time, we don't want stuff like that to happen between 18-year-olds and 13 or 12-year-olds. So let's just set it up to where maybe the 13 is, I don't know when they go into middle school, but maybe
that would be the protocol of like showing a school ID and we advertise that heavily or something like that. Especially if we actually want to enforce this for the good reason. of
And for
we-
those, we tend to get a lot of family passes. And so when we start looking at the family passes, I think that's something we could also take in consideration that, hey, this individual is 13 or younger.
Yeah.
And we can, yes.
I'm just, I think the comments all good. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, and before we do discussion item B, since we're,
did-
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's go on the part.
Yeah.
The only thing I wanted to say was where my mind, I'm glad I didn't even think about that from an ID perspective. And where my mind was coming is 13 is we have COPA, Child Internet Protection Act and all these other kinds of things on the Privacy Protection Act. So like the government recognizes 13 as a special year. That's kind of where we were talking during.
PG
that.
13.
PG-13, between a lot of that. The only thing I really wanted to do was thank Gio, thank Megan, and especially thank the Parks Board for showing up every meeting. They've done a great job hitting quorum and being involved with this. I want to make sure and thank you.
That's great, thank you. Okay,
We take a 5-minute break.
that's what I was leading to. That's why I said before discussion item B, since we have hit the 1 hour mark or close to it, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. All right, Geo 6:26.
What grade are you in?
Yeah.
8th grade, Zip?
8th grade is where they
We're gonna-
Hey, city secretary, it's 5 minutes. We ready?
when you are.
Okay, and calling the meeting back to order. So discussion item B, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Discussion item B is the discuss the purchase of an asphalt zipper through the government capital equipment purchasing program for the Public Works Department. If council remembers, in October of 24, we held a Public Works Street Department workshop. The assistant director, the director were both here. They kind of did a presentation over the game plan for the year for seal coating. In addition, they discussed the needs of the department, which included a loader, which council has already approved, as well as the possibility of a newer model of an asphalt zipper. I had the pleasure of getting to meet with Asphalt Zipper at the TML conference, as well as Councilmember Nance, and reached out to them directly afterwards and say, hey, could you demo it? What does it actually do? What does it look like? After they were able to get us on the schedule, because obviously we are not centrally located to them. They were here on March 11th, and for those of you in the audience who've been down Murphy Street, there's a section of Murphy Street that is now a dirt road. They actually went in and zipped up.
All right.
At the time would probably be considered the worst street according to all my neighbors. And they cleared all that out, zipped it up, and then the street department came back in and compacted it. The actual zipping part of it took around 2 hours, but it was a demo. So there was show and tell, there was going through it. Ideally, it would take a little bit less time to go through and actually zip about 1.5 blocks. They're looking at about 1.5 hours. The benefit of the zipper is it goes in and it's gonna help rebuild the city roads to a better, obviously, state than what they're currently at. It doesn't take as much time and we can do it in-house. On March 11th, all of the employees that were present had the opportunity to kind of train, use it, see how it works. They were on the loader itself. They were, actually it's remote controlled. So they were using the remote control to guide it along as well. After the demonstration, I did discuss with the Public Works Director and Assistant Director, and we concluded that they would really like a larger model. The current model that they have is about a 4 foot. So it takes multiple passes to actually complete a whole block. In this case, they looked at the one that was presented was the 6 and there's an 8 foot one. They thought that the amount of time was, didn't take any time at all. And as you've been down Murphy Street, even in its current state as a dirt road, it is still better than the road that was still or previously there. So we had that discussion. It would be a great operational benefit and efficiency to the department itself. There is a section of Murphy Street. If you get past from about 13th down, there's one little section that they had to go in and they actually scarred it themselves, where they basically take the loader backhoe that has the little bucket with the teeth, and they actually scrape it to get it to even out. So you can see the significant difference between the two methods. I reached out to Government Capital since we'd had that discussion, their source for funding, and asked them if it would be possible to give us a quote on what it would take if we wanted to do the lease program. Asphalt Zipper did provide a quote as well, which is included in the packet. So giving us some credit, because we would be going through a buy board kind of promotion. The total amount is $331,560, and that is for the larger 72-inch zipper. They do offer a municipal program as well. They're offering it at 6% for 5 years. Government Capital did come back. Their estimate is a little bit lower for the interest. I believe it was 5.9697, 5.957. But in speaking with Stephanie with Government Capital, because we haven't moved forward with the loader because we wanted to have this discussion, that she may be able to reduce the interest rate altogether if we put the two items together. So that's obviously going to be an option if we decide to move forward with this project. It does align with the department's goals to enhance the infrastructure and capabilities. The demo was, an all morning, afternoon kind of event. It was fun to watch and see. The information is provided in the packet in regards to the cost. I wanted to have the discussion to see if council was interested in moving forward with this type of purchase, or if we wanted to consider something else.
Okay, first I want to point out that the packet is online, so you can go to our City of Alpine website and you can see what your council members are looking at in the packet. Where exactly is it located, Gio?
Under the government tab, city council agendas and minutes.
Okay, all right, so you can always go there. And then just to watch the meeting, and if there's a PowerPoint, you can see that on the City of Alpine YouTube channel once Gio uploads it. But for packet information, that's where you can go to see what your council is looking at. Okay, all right, so Councilmember Escobedo.
I do know we need the equipment. I've gone several times through your street.
It's
My
smooth
dog
now.
has, yeah, now it's nice. Before I wasn't sure what to do. My
Speed
dog ended
control.
up in the back. It was just like, so I'm really glad that it is, how it's looking now. I do think we do really need it for our city.
Councilmember Stone.
You know, all this stuff's expensive. It's expensive to run a city. I think you gotta buy things, you know, the saying is it's only gonna get more expensive. So we need something, we need something.
Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, I think we discussed the last time, it's a need. It's not that we want to, it's a need that we need to improve the service and the quality of the streets, on the streets in the city, and I think there would be a good addition to the city, so I agree.
Councilmember Nance.
I got a couple questions. One question real quick is this is a Gen 8, just because I deal with computers and stuff. Is there gonna be a Gen 9? I would reach out to them and just see. Like, I mean, who knows if we can run the thing off our smartphone or whatever, you know, I just don't want to buy the Gen 8 like the last year it's in production. If they have something coming back down. So asking them when the next generation is and what that actually entails, if it's even gonna be worth waiting or whatever. From the public's perspective, one thing I was gonna say is, 2 years ago, I got on and I saw a zipper. I didn't know what that was. I think Megan should speak to the full meal side of this. So right now, and Mr. Stevens knows a lot more about all the stuff than I do, but our whole goal from paving is before being on council, everybody said they want their roads paved. That's the thing we hear over and over and over and over. And from council's perspective, how do we do that to provide a quality job at the lowest cost? Because that's exactly where your property tax is going, is to go pay police and parks, all these other kinds of things. So I think Megan, if she can just talk real quick about how this actually lowers the cost of paving from our perspective, about instead of, what did they call it? Hitting it and then removing all the equipment and then shipping it all out.
So it's the efficiency of actually completing the road. So this goes in and it takes the current asphalt that's laid and it remixes it into the base. So basically you've reinforced your base to come back and put a seal coat on top of it. The reason why this is more cost effective is one, you're not spending as much time trying to scrape chunks of asphalt and then actually have to push it to the side, load it up and dispose of it. This is just blending it all back in together. This helps the department with the efficiency, the staffing. Basically day one, you have a small crew. It takes about 2 to 3 people that would go out and they would basically pull up, say, 3 blocks. And then the next day they would do the next 3 blocks. But then another crew would come in behind them and start actually paving that part of it. So you have a process going in place where you're not waiting. Well, they've gone through and they've cleaned the road because they didn't have to clean it. There's no prep. We're gonna pull it all up and blend it together. They would have that process in place where they're constantly moving forward. Right now, they have to clean, they have to prep. If they have to potholes, they have to fix what they need to fix. It takes a lot more time. The other side of it is we've been paying third-party contractors to come in and pave on our behalf. That's expensive, you know, as a private company, they're in it to make money, which we don't disagree, we want them to. But then we're at their whim as well. You know, they get a contract awarded and okay, we've got you on the books in 6 months. Or you know what, we'll hit you 3 months, we'll get these done, and the next 3 months we'll do these. And then it's like you said, it's the taxpayers' money. This is bringing it back in-house, and it's gonna give the team the ability to actually phase out the projects, get them completed. No, this doesn't mean that they're not gonna fix potholes in other areas. That also will be going on, but they'll be able to address the current streets that are an issue. I know that I'm gonna bring it up and I'll get shot, but Country Club is our training ground. So when we make purchases like this, we go out there and we start the training in the
Yes.
area that one has the least amount of traffic. So that
Yes.
our employees, can have the space to not get hurt. And then in two, it's a great open area for them to be able to maneuver. I know with Murphy Street, our biggest fear is we had some cars that we needed to have moved. One couldn't be moved, but we were very lucky that, in light of the zipper, it keeps it very compact. It doesn't blow it everywhere. We were able to easily move by that vehicle, no damage whatsoever. So time, efficiency, and then be able to bring it back in-house.
And then if you can speak to how long the length of a road, if you actually fog seal it and everything else, a full meal compared to what we've been doing. And when was the last year we actually did a full meal rebuild on a road?
So the last completed year was part of a multi-year contract, would have been probably in about 22. When we had 2022, when we had contracted with another vendor, and it was for certain sections of town,
When's the last time we did a full meal rebuild in-house?
not in my time period.
And what's the length, what's the lifespan of a full meal?
So a full mill it's basically like a rebuilt brand new road, and so that should make it between 25 and 35 years.
So this will allow us to catch up theoretically with a lot of the roads if we can completely redo the road and then take care of it as we do with bog fills and everything.
So right now, when we patch a road or we do what we call the seal coat, it's extending it between 3 to 7 years. So
Hopefully,
this would expand the lifespan, and it would also, like I said, address all of the roads that everyone's like, hey, when are we gonna get this done?
and that was, and when we went to TML, a lot of small cities said this helped them out a lot as a cost, it was very cost effective for smaller cities that don't have the money to come in and pay all the time. The last questions I was gonna say, that's the why, is Megan, do you have an opinion of if we purchase it, it's not necessarily on this? Or actually, that's not even a conversation for now because I won't be on council then, and you guys can figure that out.
If you approve it next meeting.
The large items, what other large items are we missing from the paving department? Are we missing any other very high expensive capital assets for them to do paving?
Dump truck.
A dump truck. Okay, and then, if you move forward with government capital, do you have the ability to refinance if needed?
If needed, I could have that conversation.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that works publicly different than refinancing a house or something.
I mean, we would still have to take it before council, and it'd have to be approved. Like I said, I could have automatically submitted the resolution, but in having the conversation with the asphalt zipper and putting the two pieces of equipment together and the ability to maybe come in a little bit lower, I wanted to.
And if we go with government capital instead of the zippers for the actual financing, is there any ancillary cost to that as far as bond counsel, legal counsel, anything else?
No.
Okay, so whichever one actually pencils in best for the taxpayer is the one you would probably recommend moving forward with?
Yes, and it was brought to my attention, so government capital doesn't put a lien on the property, asphalt zipper would put a lien on.
So if we don't pay, they take it back. That was all the questions.
And we did look at trading in the current zipper, just full disclosure to council, we would get about 5,000 for it.
Wow,
So we're thinking of selling it.
yeah, that's a good idea.
I know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Councilmember Stephen.
And that was one of my questions, the buyer for the old one, I'll talk to the county. Are you considering 3 or 5 years, and you sorting that out yet?
So I wanted to get back with government capital and look at what it would be for 3 and 5 for the 2 pieces of equipment.
Yeah, I'm well in favor of this. The efficiency, I mean, we had the opportunity to go see it. If you get a chance to go out, it is amazing in terms of how smoothly it operates. As you heard me talk about, I call it chip seal light because it rebuilds the base, and I'm glad you'll be able to use Country Club Estates as the guinea pig place because it's got lots of places. The Country Club Estates, the base never got set right. So this will create that new base, and that's if you went down Kennewa and Long Branch down there. Andy and the team had to completely redo the base. They brought a lot of material in. This is just a far easier process because it mills it up, puts it right back down, tamp it down, you're ready to roll. So I think this is exactly right. It's on Wildly. Thanks for looking at the 6 feet versus the 4 feet. They demoed the 4 feet I suggested, and the building department can access 6 feet wider. That makes all the difference in the world.
Good.
Yep, so
Good.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to action items. Action item A belongs to city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item A is to approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-04-02. An ordinance amending chapter 22 businesses to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, establishing regulations and requirements regarding the sale of alcohol within the city and providing for specific zoning districts in which alcohol may be sold. Providing the establishment of up to a $500 penalty per occurrence for violations of the ordinance. Providing for the following findings of fact, enactment, repealer, penalty, saving, severability, proper notice of meeting and effective date clauses.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-04-02 as presented with one minor typographical error on page 5 to add a small letter A in the right parenthesis under section 22-129.
All right, I need a second.
Well, second.
Make a second.
Okay. All right, discussion. All right, so we'll start with Councilmember Stevens.
I think we've gone through this, nice
Yeah.
job incorporating all the changes. You guys did a great job.
Councilmember Nance.
I wasn't here at the last, I was virtually at the meeting, so I didn't go over this with fine tooth comb, just a couple questions, Megan. The definition, or you and Gio can look at this, definition for alcoholic beverages there. Do we have a definition in the parks? Because I know we don't allow alcohol in the parks. Did we define alcoholic beverage right at the start of the general part of that?
I don't think we did.
Okay. Then I would love for, just if they match, if it was there, because this one looks good. If we go to second page, minor or secondary street, the definition for that. Shall mean a roadway classified as a local street on the city's master transportation plan. Can I see our master transportation?
That is from 2001. Well, terminology, if we want to update it, we can. We do have a street study.
Okay.
So that would have all of our streets, which would be a master street.
And I mean, I think we all know what minor and secondary streets are. It's just like, I don't, want to pay the lawyers to go just decide what that is. Okay, so just to check that one, I'm happy with it. Right here. Scale of, let me see where this was. No alcoholic beverages, so section 22-123, provisions of chapter controlling. No alcoholic beverages shall be sold within the corporate limits of the city, and no license or permit shall be issued for the seller serving the same except in areas authorized under this chapter. So this chapter, here's a question. Does this affect selling alcohol at park festivals or one-off events? How would this relate? Because we were talking about if we did have park festivals or anything else like that. How are these going to work together?
So those would be off premise.
Do they need to fall under this chapter?
They would be temporary and they would be approved through TABC. We usually don't sign off on those at all.
Okay,
So TABC are the ones approving that and setting that up.
okay, so no amendment would need to be made to this in order for those to happen if they did happen in the future. Okay. I thought about that thing about special use permit. I think that's a good, we have, historical spot zoning, so that's a good catch all there. Let's see, last one, section 22-129, sale prohibited in curb service restaurants. And if you go to item E, so private school, that more than 100 students. Do we have a school that's more than 100 students? I know Montessori isn't.
I don't know how many a Christian school has, but they would have.
Either one of them.
Either one would hit that mark. And last question, that was actually Cynthia's one. Section 22-133, permit and license fees. There is hereby levied a license and permit fee in the amount of 1/2 of the state license and permit fees for each state permit or license issued for a purpose. Do we know how much that is? I had no
It
time.
varies depending on the type of place. And we're already authorized by state law. We're just codifying it in our ordinance just to have a reference there.
Beautiful. That was everything I had.
Okay, great. Councilmember Martinez.
The only concern that I have that is says that alcohol in residential areas. Is that, if they need any permission for the alcohol, they will come to the city council or they will work to GO.
So the revision that the attorney recommended would basically make it where that would be controlled individually by zoning in the zoning ordinance. And I believe the language in here, it made a reference that if there's not any specific guidance in the zoning ordinance, it would have to be approved by the special use permit process.
And that would go through planning and zoning and then city.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stone?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thanks for bringing up the festival. I just want to put a little bit more, if the attorney's cool, then I'm cool, but I want to make sure the intent is there, because when I applied for a festival permit or a temporary permit at the 4th of July Festival in Fort Davis, TABC was taking forever, and I didn't know why, but it was because they were trying to get in touch with the county to make sure that they didn't know what the county's laws were, and they had to make sure what the laws were before they approved my permit. And so if TABC looked at these laws, I'd be worried that they'd be like, oh, the city doesn't allow that, that's a no. And so I want to just be careful and just maybe run that one more time by the attorney, just to be sure. That was something I wanted to bring up as well. I agree, the spirits or other festivals, 4th of July, New Year's, whatever else. The only other one that I wanted to bring up is 22-128, and that one's on page 5 of 7. And it says sale prohibited in curb service restaurants. My first thought is Skelton's that, but more so, does that conflict with the COVID state law rule that now allows curbside to go sales? And so I'm wondering, is this, obviously, we're not going to deliver a drink that's opened in the car, but at the same time, just being super clarified that we don't, oust the business immediately, let alone criminal or, conflict with the state law that has been now extended to perpetuity.
So that was a provision that I had kept from the ordinance that I use as a model, Richardson.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a big stance on it, and that would be a Cynthia question as far as if Skelton's would, not, I guess, be qualified under that as well.
And what's wonderful is Cynthia already
It's right
knows.
here.
Cynthia.
We got a beer barn that allows drinking on the premises.
Okay, so as to 22-129, the limitations there for the curbside services are generally the same limitations that the city is authorized to have anyway. So if you are a curbside service within 300 feet, of a church, public or private school, you are prohibited from having that, even with the COVID restriction on that. So that section there really just tracks the language from the actual TABC code. So our
Okay, and then
exception.
that's
Right, so our
128 as
exceptions-
well, where it says shall not be permitted. I'm guessing 129 then says where it is permitted. Is that?
Right.
I'm not a
right.
legalese, so I'm just checking. Yeah, okay. And then with the festivals, did you hear that part as well?
Yes, sir, I did. And so, the information that Gio provided is correct. And what we're targeting here are the permanent licenses that normally the state requires that written certification from. On the temporary permits, though, it's unusual to hear that TABC checked with the county rather than the city, assuming that the event we're talking about was
There's no
within the
city there, but it's
Oh,
not
okay.
unusual. Their laws aren't posted on the website, things like that.
Gotcha.
It's a weird place.
Gotcha. And so, if I could just get a little bit of direction, I can tweak that section up. So is the idea that we don't want to prohibit that, or in the reverse, we want to allow temporary permits without, without any issues?
I think we could do an amendment here with your advice really easily, perhaps, if folks are attuned to that.
Well, and as long as, would that be considered a material change for second reading?
It can be changed in any form right now. It just can't be changed next time.
I mean, I think what Mr. Stevens said, I would just like to protect the ability to allow those.
I think it's a good amendment, put it in there, so then we're not questioning it down the road.
Yep. So we need an amendment to the motion for the first reading to add the allow of temporary
Temporary
sales for
sales.
festivals and
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, any more discussion?
Do we need to write out what that amendment is specifically, or do we just say Geo is to make an amendment to clarify that, or just
Fine,
asking?
as long as I know for sure what you all want, I can make those amendments.
Do you know what we
You
want?
know what we want?
No.
So, the amendment is aimed at adding into the first reading to allow
Temporary permit.
temporary permits for sale of alcohol at festivals or similar activities in the city of Alpine.
Okay.
Is that sufficient for you and Cynthia?
Mhm.
Okay.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. Finish my thought.
So amendment on the amendment. And then the actual vote, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's vote on the amendment to allow temporary permits for the sale of alcohol at festivals or similar activities in the city of Alpine.
Aye.
Aye.
Geo City Council voted unanimously to support the amendment to allow temporary permits for sale of alcohol at festivals or similar activities in the city of Alpine. Now let's dispose of the amendment as made by Councilmember Stevens to add under 22-129, the letter A, under no person may sell alcohol beverages if the place of business is within. So that's a typographical error. We just need the letter A added in. If you are in favor of adding the letter A.
Aye.
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 City Secretary, Council voted unanimously for the amendment to add the letter A to correct the typographical error under section 22-129. Under the sentence, no person may sell alcoholic beverages if the place of business is within. Okay, and now for the original motion.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, City Secretary, Council voted unanimously to approve the original motion with the two amendments. All right, great. Moving on. Okay, action item B, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item B is to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-04-04. An ordinance authorizing the vacation, abandonment, and sale of the unapproved portions of Patillo Avenue, Monterey Avenue, Toluco Avenue, and Morales Avenue, all situated within blocks 1 through 6, Paloma Edition of the City of Alpine, Brewster County, Texas. Authorizing the city manager to execute a deed without warranty to the applicants Michael and Lynn McPherson, directing that funds from the sale of the city's interest be deposited in the general fund for the purpose of street improvements, providing for terms and conditions of such thereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date.
I need a motion.
First reading orders 2025-04-04.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion, City Manager.
So this has actually been presented to council multiple times in regards to the several streets within this block. Mr. McCarson came in, he had completed all of the necessary paperwork, requesting to purchase the abandoned roads. In discussion, the concern was brought up that there wouldn't be the access to both sides of the property. So council requested that we maintain all of Avenue C. The original request included just a portion of Avenue C, a 25-foot alleyway that would allow that back entrance. And speaking with Mr. McCarson, he was fine with leaving all of Avenue C. Council did make the recommendation that we could calculate the changes in costs and then present it back to council. So in reviewing the original proposed 30,000, the amount of square footage, we reduced the portion of Avenue C back out of that 30,000 and came up with an evaluation of $27,587.20. This is allowing the city to maintain all of Avenue C, not just that little portion he had not included in his original appraised values. I did reach back out to Mr. McCarson, let him know about the updated information in the process in which was taken to come up with that number. He was in agreement and is back before council for a first reading to abandon 5 of the blocks instead of 6.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Nance?
No comments. The only thing I was gonna just say was that, as a reminder, that whole area is zoned as R2. And it will stay as R2, correct?
Correct.
Perfect.
Okay, Councilmember Stevens?
Comments other than say, Darren, thanks for getting us to this point.
Councilmember Stone?
Likewise.
Councilmember Martinez?
No comments.
Councilmember Escobedo?
No.
Okay, great. Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
City Secretary Council approved the first reading of ordinance 2025-04-04 unanimously. Moving on to action item C, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Action item C is to approve the special use permit 2025-04-01. A special use permit allowing the applicant Holland for Yucca LLC to obtain the following licenses permits from the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. 1, late hour certificate to allow open hours until 2 a.m. 2, mixed beverage permit to allow liquor sales, and a food and beverage certificate. The subject property is located at 209 West Holland Avenue. The property owner of record is Holland Investors LLC. The parcel ID of the subject property is 11836. The current zoning classification of the property is C2 Business District and will remain the same if the application is approved.
Okay, I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion, City Manager.
As we're still moving through the process to get the permits approved, whether it's gone straight through the city secretary or if it goes to planning and zoning, this one was presented to planning and zoning. It is in a C2, which automatically would technically be approved moving forward. They're requesting the same permit that the Holland Hotel had prior. You did have a representative come before council and speak on the hotel's behalf as well. They're just asking for the same type of permit that was prior. Changing ownership does require that they do get a new license.
Okay. Councilmember Escobedo?
I don't have any comments.
Councilmember Martinez?
No, she really explained my question that I had, what are the change? I thought they changed the name, but it was clarified, so I agree.
Councilmember Stevens?
I'm good with it. Rachel, thanks for your comments.
Councilmember Stone?
I just wanted to ask when the Century would be opening. If that's, I mean, if you want to come up and just say that plan really quick, because we're rushing through, but yeah, if that's okay.
Yes. Make sure it's in line with this permit.
Yes, of course. So we
So the
are
rules.
hoping to finalize and close on our loan by the 15th of April. And we will start pretty much renovations for all 3 properties at the same time simultaneously. We will be moving the Century back to its original spot when it was opened in 1912. So it's actually going to change its position on the other side of the building. So that will take a little longer since we have to kind of reinstall all the vents and hoods and everything. So we're hoping by the beginning of next year that we would be done with renovations.
And would this permit cover that bar as well? I'm guessing,
Yes, it
yeah,
will.
cool. Then it would
So
go
this
coast-
permit is for the lobby bar. You're gonna have a lobby bar in the meantime?
Correct. We're going to activate the lobby bar, but all food and beverage ordering and processing will essentially go under the same entity.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, did I forget? Councilmember Nance?
The only thing I was gonna mention is, I am for passing this. I just wanted to recognize, I think there was 2 individuals at the planning and zoning meeting that were against it just because of worrying about noise and parking. But I am for this.
Okay, let's vote.
Aye.
City Secretary Council unanimously approved the special use permit 2025-04-01. Moving on to action item D, City Manager.
Mayor. The last action item of the night is the approval of animal permit 2025-04-01, a horse permit to be issued to Robert Gates to house 2 horses at 1902 West Avenue E, Alpine, Texas.
I need a motion.
Mayor, I'd like the motion that we approve animal permit 2025-04-01 horse permit to be issued to Robert Gates.
I need a second.
I'll second that one.
Discussion, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Included in the packet is a copy of the letter from Animal Services, a copy of the animal permit application, And then the pictures of the location of where the animal or the two horses would be located. It is a designated area for the horses, is at the back of the property. It is accessible by a private road. Animal Service is recommending, the permit as long as the shelter is built. So as long as the horses do have, the shelter intends to be housed in. Mr. Gates did make some comments earlier in the meeting, and Jennifer Stewart is still present if you have additional questions.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, Councilmember Nance.
Yes. Yeah, the only thing I would question is, when will the pins be built? Do we know? When the pins will be built?
All right, go ahead and come on up.
All right, they're in
Come on.
a pen
Come on up.
currently, and I have to move the panels when I move the horse.
Okay, come on up in case there's other questions. Come on up to the podium. Great, thank you.
So the only. I guess if you
Thank you.
name and order.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
So it could be real quick when you actually move over there and everything would be kosher with animal.
Right,
services.
where they've taken many pictures of the panels, they're 12-foot panels. They're currently in the panels, I've got to halter them and tie them, move the panels and move the horses. I bought a 10 by 15 foot carport. That came in Tuesday, got it assembled, and I bought laminate at McCoy, so there's a 3-sided shelter. And worked hard on it and ready to roll, waiting on y'all. Ayúdeme por favor, Lucia.
Okay, good, good. All right, Councilmember Escobedo.
Okay, I said, help me, Lucy.
I know.
I think it's a good idea. We used to have horses. I have no.
I can show you a picture. I sent Jennifer some pictures of the pen. I can show you right now if y'all want to see it.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilmember Stevens.
I'm good with finding a good home for painting buckskin.
All right. Councilmember Martinez.
Do you live there? Sir,
Mr. Gates, do you live on the property that the horses are gonna be located?
What's that?
Do you live on the property?
Okay. Any other questions?
Where they're at right now, the property's been sold and they're anxious for me to get them moved and
Any other questions?
the hold up had been,
What are their names?
Getting the
Buckskin
shelter
and paint.
built
Paint
for it.
buckskin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
They'll spend most of their time in the carport.
All right.
And you can notice they have a horse porch on the front.
Oh, wow, this is nice. I definitely.
Super good.
Yeah, that's important.
so Jennifer, you think that is the best for the horses to move to that place?
Yeah, it looks like an acceptable property and he seems to be within our parameters of our city ordinance, so I think it'll be okay. I won't issue it until he's got it set up. I'll make sure that he gets it set up and we can get together and I can get some pictures of it actually completed so that I can be reassured that it's still gonna be the same setup that we've seen on the other property moved over.
Right, and here's the shed.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I
Are
got,
you are okay, we're okay.
And
yeah,
here's
I'm
the-
okay.
Here's the.
Councilmember Stone.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I don't want to cause any delay, but the train, is there any concern with horses getting onto those tracks? Is there a fence there?
There is, he's got a fence that does separate the property. They shouldn't, I mean, if he's within, the parameters of our city ordinances, his horses cannot be running loose, so
Yeah. of
they have
course.
to, they have to be in that pen, so.
Yeah.
But I can't move the panels till I'm ready to move. Because the
Okay.
horses are in it right now.
Let me know if you need a little buffalo grass seed. It's dry out there, but happy to get you some. Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Aye.
I got a 10 by 15 carport and then added the laminate.
City Secretary, Council unanimously approved the animal permit
Well,
2025-04-01. Thank you.
Remember, it's April 1st, so watch what you say.
Right. Oh, that's right. All right, thank you. Moving on to executive reports, 6 minutes on the clock for each. City mayor report in the interest of time, 'cause it looks like we're doing really well. There is no mayor report. Just remember, elections are coming up. All right, city manager, 6 minutes, please, Chio.
I'm gonna pass for this.
Okay, all right, awesome. Council member comments, 1 minute each. Councilmember Stevens.
Following the lead of the mayor, the city manager, I have nothing.
Okay, Councilmember Escobedo. Councilmember Nance. Councilmember Martinez.
No comments.
Councilmember Stone.
Just want to second what you said, to thank that, all the candidates that are on the ballot, even those we don't get the chance to vote for. Thank y'all for being here. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so that takes us to executive session. Item number 15. Pursuant to chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the city council reserves the right to convene into executive session from time to time as deemed necessary during this meeting for any posted agenda item or to receive advice from the attorney as permitted by law. Tonight, the city council will recess into executive session pursuant to 551.074 and 551.071. May I get a motion and a second to recess into executive session? Second, please.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Let's vote.
Aye.
Aye.
City Secretary, Council has unanimously approved moving in this to executive session at 7:12 p.m. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. Woo. Okay, may I have a motion to reconvene into? Oh.
The box.
Who's here?
May I have a motion to reconvene into open session?
Mayor, I move back into open session.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Let's vote.
Aye.
Aye.
City Secretary Council voted unanimously to reconvene into open session at 8:03 PM.
Mayor, I propose that we have, first action item from executive session is that the city council approve the city manager's recommendation that Jessica Isley be approved as the building official / director of building services effective March 30th, 2025.
Do I have a second? Okay, any discussion? Let's vote.
Aye.
City Secretary Council voted unanimously to approve Jessica Isley as Director of Building Services, Building Official, effective March 30th, as per the city manager's recommendation.
Mayor, I have another, a motion that the, city council approve the city manager's recommendation. The city manager take over as the director of utilities effective today. And that number two, the, city manager take action to, as quickly as possible, bring a recommendation to city council for approval to hire a third party utility director until such time is a full-time utilities director is hired by the city. And that three, the city council recognize Johnny Marquez for the terrific role he's provided as the acting utility director the past 13 months.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, any discussion? Let's vote.
Aye.
Aye.
City Secretary, Councilmember Stevens, would you reread that for the city secretary? We unanimously approved.
City council approved the city manager's recommendation that the city manager immediately take over the role as utility director. Part two, the city manager bring to city council a recommendation as quickly as possible to fill the role with a third party for the utility director position until such time as a full-time utility director is hired by the city. And that three, we recognize the outstanding role that Johnny Marquez has filled as the acting utility director for the last 13 months.
Thank you, Councilmember Stevens. Okay, thank you, council. And with that, we are adjourned at 8:06 PM.
What about will you give them a nice dinner so they can go and have a dinner in Capone?
Good night, Mayor and Council.
Oh, this? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.